Our speaker today is Brian Wilson. Brian is the IT librarian of the Lincolnwood Library. His topic is cutting the cable. I knew someone was going to say that. If you do one Beach Boy number, you're off the stage. Not a favorite of mine, but anyway. Okay, Brian makes himself available to help people accomplish just that, cutting the cable. He'll be standing by to field your questions at the completion of his presentation. So Brian, come at it.
All right. Hi there, everyone. Thank you. My name's Brian, and I'm excited to teach this topic today. I've taught this at several libraries in the area and bringing it to you today. So what we're going to cover, a game plan, kind of general how you should handle this. What does it mean to cut the cable? What do you need? What devices are available? And then services on them. And then how do you know if it's compatible? And very importantly, how much does it cost? And I've been asked to ask for questions to be held to the end, please. Thank you. All right, so first, should you cut the cable? It depends. You know, are you fed up with prices going up to the roof? Yeah. Are you paying for a bunch of channels you don't watch? Are there lots of fees and taxes? Are you getting good customer service? Are you stuck in a contract? So a lot of those things, if you basically answered yes, you might want to cut the cable. Now, what does it mean? And I was speaking with someone before the class today. I'm unfortunately not going to be able to answer kind of everybody's particular situation in detail. So we do have to take this kind of high level. So what does it mean to cut the cable? Now, in your home somewhere, probably, there's a device that might look like this. It's probably in some dusty corner and it's kind of hot. It takes a signal from your internet connection, does some stuff to it, and gets it to your TV. And that's how you have stuff on your TV. You can get rid of that. But for most of these things, you're still going to need your internet connection. So that's where it gets a little bit tricky. But cutting the cable means getting rid of the paid cable TV part of, a lot of times it's a package from your internet service provider. So kind of game plan, plan of action. The first thing is something I really can't help you with. You got to figure out what you want to watch. You can also try things out. So very nearby to here and other libraries in the community. I heard people mention Skokie and other communities in the area that you come from. A lot of libraries check out devices that have services that you can try streaming on. The Winnetka Northfield Library has Rokus that you can use. That's one of the devices. We'll talk about it. So you'll also need to kind of have some sort of device to replace that dusty box. So you have to have a device ready, get your TV ready. Eventually, you'll actually cancel cable TV service. And then there are other ways to save money as well. We'll talk about more. But the vast majority of us are probably renting it might be one or two devices from your internet provider. And they can charge up to $15 a month, which just that is really expensive. You don't even have to cut the cable. You could replace the modem router that you're renting from your internet provider with your own that you control without even cutting the cable. And that alone could potentially save you somewhere between $10 and $15 a month, which would be really nice for a lot of people. You also, of course, might want to subscribe to different things. We'll talk about more, and then sign in and enjoy. So that's kind of a general high-level game plan. So I mentioned those Rokus. Winnetka Northfield Library is pretty close by. You can talk to the librarians there and try that out as well, just up the road. All right. Now more things, kind of what will you need? So when you cut the cable, you're kind of getting rid of your source of kind of video entertainment into your house, and you're still using your internet connection. So a lot of the services like Netflix and Hulu recommend, I try not to be technical, but they recommend a 5 megabits per second streaming speed. We'll talk about HD antennas, which can get you a whole bunch of local content completely for free, which is really nice. And we mentioned, again, the device for your TV and then the services. So that's kind of what you need. So let's talk about that thing I mentioned a second ago, the HD antennas. So I just mentioned a second ago that you're going to still need your internet connection. The exception to that is HD antennas. So for a lot of the local channels, 2, 5, 7, 9, WGN, they are broadcast for free over the air. And to get them, you just need an antenna. So it's a one-time purchase of either an indoor or an outdoor antenna. You wire it up to your TV, do a channel scan, and then you've got a whole bunch of channels that are free forever, which is really nice. So here are what some of those devices look like. They have basically some sort of flat panel, or there are ones that can be installed like on top of a roof as well. And I'm not sure if this will work, but we can take a look. Okay, so we're going to cancel that. But when you're shopping for these, they tend to exaggerate a little bit, and they'll claim that they can provide certain channels. They can't really claim that until you do the scan. So you want to try to get, I would estimate, not the cheapest one, but maybe a kind of medium priced one, so that you'll make sure that it's going to work fairly well. So then you're also, other than an antenna, you're probably going to want a device for getting that content onto your screen with your internet connection. So we're going to talk through those devices. So I mentioned at the Winnetka Northfield Library and at other libraries as well. The library I work at, Lincolnwood Library, lets people check these out. Rokus are very simple. They connect to your internet. They've got just a basic screen that has a grid of channels, and you select what you want and go to it. They're also really inexpensive as well. So if you've got a whole bunch of TVs, you can try out a Roku. And again, you don't even have to purchase these to start. You can try one from the library. This is one of my standard recommendations to people. They're really good devices. They're very simple. And it can connect to your TV, get your internet, and then you can use the streaming services. So another device is from Google, the Chromecast with Google TV. Kind of similar price point. They've got a nice remote control. Again, it connects directly to your TV. And it supports a really easy model for getting the content directly onto your TV, where you basically use your phone, press a button, and then it synchronizes with that device and then sends it up to your TV. So after you set it up, it can be fairly easy to use. And if you're a Google user, it'll probably feel pretty familiar to you. Apple TV, Apple tends to be a little more expensive, but you get for that purchase price a really good experience. This is what I have in my house. The remote control tends to get lost. It's pretty small. It gets lost in the couch, whatever. But it basically just works If you already have an Apple account, you can basically set it up on your phone. They have all the streaming service apps that you would need, and it connects to your internet and gets the content onto your TV. So it's a really good option. It's more expensive. But all of this hardware we've talked about, including the over-the-air antennas, it's a one-time purchase. So there's kind of some upfront expenses involved to get started cutting the cable, but then after that you save money. So then I heard somebody before we started today talking about Amazon Fire devices. Anybody 2-day free shipping with Amazon? So it's the same thing. It's the kind of integrated into that same service, except it's the device that allows you to get the Amazon Prime Video service onto your device. They've got a whole bunch of different price points from really cheap to really expensive. And if you're already in the Amazon kind of system, it might work well for you. And then finally, smart TVs. Now, if you were looking to purchase a TV right now, you wouldn't be able to get a TV that isn't, quote, smart. They can start out really, really, really cheap, but the cost of that cheapness is that they are spying on you. So what I usually recommend to folks, you might need a TV, your TV might break or something, you might have to get a TV. You can plug in one of these other devices to a smart TV, and then you're getting spied on a lot less. I know it's that they all spy on you a little bit, but the smart TVs, in my experience, are the absolute worst. But the benefit, you see this kind of listing image of this example TV. They've already got a bunch of the services installed. So you don't have to do the work to find Netflix or Disney Plus or Amazon Prime Video, Peacock, Apple TV, Hulu, a whole bunch more. But they don't really, sometimes they're not updated as well. So if the service changes, they need to do an update, fix a bug. Unfortunately, you can't count on getting that update on a smart TV. The other platforms we talked about, Roku, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Google, those all have very reliable updates. But it can put everything in one package, a smart TV. It can connect directly to your internet, wired or wireless, and they tend to be very inexpensive. All right. Now, again, between these devices, how might you choose? You might already know something. You could try from your library. Give it a try. There's no risk. It's probably a 1 or 2 week checkout something, and if you don't like it, give it back to them. But if you do like it, also give it back to them. They're the public library. I've dealt with issues in my work where people have not returned tech that I have set up, and it's difficult. But you can try one. There are lots also of reviews as well. If you kind of search for the names of any of the devices we've talked about, there will be people saying opinions. Oh, this works great for Prime Video. It's really fast. Apple TV, people will allow for the integration devices. So you'll be able to get opinions. You could also go to like a Best Buy or something and take a look around, talk with a salesperson. But there are also lots of guides online as well. All right. Usually I would pause for questions here, but I've been asked to hold questions toward the end. So we are going to go right into the actual services. So kind of high level, you've figured out which device you wanted and then got it set up. And then after that, you need to supply your own entertainment. So that's what these services do. A lot of them are similar. We'll try to cover kind of common elements together. So first, Amazon Prime. You are already paying for this if you have that free 2-day shipping. So there's no reason not to use it. You can purchase it independent of that free 2-day shipping. Prime Video lets you pick when a movie or a TV show starts. They do have a very limited amount of live stuff. Mainly, I believe it's Thursday night football. My dad always complains about that. He just wants to watch football and he doesn't really care about the rest of it. They, unfortunately, one thing that I don't like about this service, Amazon, Jeff Bezos' company, they want to make money. Along with the model of you're paying a subscription and you get whatever, they also allow you to rent or buy stuff at cost. So you got to watch out for that. But if you already have the free 2-day shipping, you could set this up on your Roku or your Apple TV or your smart TV or your Google Chromecast device. So it's a really nice service with some caveats. Netflix is really one of the biggest names. They've had their price increase to kind of counteract that. They have added a level of their plan that also has advertisements. But they provide just a huge catalog of TV shows and movies, documentaries. If you have grandkids over, they also have cartoons as well. My son loves a cartoon called Rubble and Crew, dogs doing construction. Don't ask me. So there's all sorts of great stuff on Netflix for everybody. My wife likes the Great British Baking Show. And I'm kind of talking very specifically here for a second, but it's an important point. Sometimes the reason you choose between Netflix over Amazon Prime is a specific show. We have the ability to cancel these services anytime. Every service we're going to talk about today is not a contract. You can cancel and you're done. There's no cancellation fee. You're good. So it gives you dramatically better flexibility than the Comcast AT&T model. And you get to pick. If you watched the entirety of The Marvelous Miss Maisel, you could cancel Amazon Prime next month and go to Netflix and watch Stranger Things, although you might have nightmares after. So I don't know. They have great content and you can pick. Hulu is another option. They have really good coverage of kind of general TV episodes after the fact. They have plans both with and without commercials. And again, they do have some exclusives. That might be the reason you go with them. They are owned by Disney, so that's something to keep in mind if you like or dislike, whatever. All right, another one is HBO Max. They've changed their names 10 times between Max and HBO Max. And again, they are a little kind of medium price, but they tend to have really high quality content. House of the Dragon, which is a spinoff of Game of Thrones, White Lotus, Westworld, lots of great content. And you can buy this month to month, subscribe to it, and cancel if you finished the show. A lot of people canceled after the last season of Game of Thrones. And that's completely justifiable. The business of these companies is making that good content. And if they're not making that good content, tell them, vote with your cash. Apple TV Plus, they started later than a lot of these services. They have a bit less content, but they are really kind of regarded for having really high quality content, similar to HBO Max. They're also really well known for their sci-fi stuff. I don't know if there are any sci-fi fans in the room. So if you like sci-fi, probably my default recommendation would be Apple TV Plus for All Mankind and just tons of great sci-fi shows. Silo, I'm forgetting, I can't remember another one, but they work on Apple devices, but it also kind of unique among Apple services. You can use it on Roku, can use it on Google, Amazon. It works anywhere. And they're always adding more content. So that's another option. But again, you could cancel this if you don't like it. Disney Plus. I subscribe to Disney Plus. I've got a daughter who likes all the princesses. And I personally like Star Wars shows like Andor and The Mandalorian. They've got, all that big library of content, animation from Pixar, Marvel, National Geographic as well. So again, you could cancel this at any time if you don't like it. But they are a big name out there. Paramount Plus is another one. It used to be called CBS All Access. Anybody want to guess what one live channel that they provide you access to? CBS, that's right. But they've also got some of their originals. These are pretty big names here, 1883 and 1923. Their library, though, like all of these, does slightly change month to month. And they are toward the lower end of price. And another one is a kind of smaller new one, Peacock, from NBC. Brave New World, I enjoyed that sci-fi show. And again, if you don't like their content, don't subscribe. If you finish the show that you like, you can cancel. They also have some kind of ad-sponsored tiers of the service as well. All right, now anybody sports fans in the room? So unfortunately, the situation with sports and cutting the cable has continued to get more and more and more difficult. Sports, NFL, for example, commands a day of the week. They have a lot of power. And they try to extract lots of money out of that. Marquee Sports Network does, I'm a big fan of the Bulls, but that actually might be the other one. I always get these confused. So this has the Cubs and the Bears, the Sky as well. And you can just buy it on its own, $20 a month. Or certain providers may have it. But this is a way to easily get direct access to stream the sports teams that we list there. And they have apps on most of the platforms, which is really nice. And this is the one I always get confused. Chicago Sports Network has the Bulls. They had an over-the-air channel, but now they have gotten rid of that, unfortunately, which is a rotten shame. And you can basically buy it through several different platforms as kind of one of their tiers. And it is quite expensive per month. But again, you could cancel the services that include this any month. Once the Bulls lose in the early summer, maybe I'll be wrong, but that's my anticipation. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the Bulls. You can cancel it if they're not going into the playoffs. All right. Now, everything we talked about so far, you choose when it starts. You choose when the documentary starts or when the movie starts or the TV starts. But there is also a big group of what I call live TV streaming services where it's going and then you pick when you tune in to what's already going. So it's just like kind of traditional TV. You might have the ability to skip some commercials. You might have the ability to record with DVR. There's usually pretty good coverage of the local channels. And there might be multiple packages of channels as well. And these are more expensive. But again, you can cancel any month. So if your show is over, you can cancel and then resume later. All right, so Sling TV is one of the cheaper ones. They're not tied to any other platform, which is really nice. They have, you see their logo is orange and blue, so they have an orange plan and a blue plan, or you can combine them both together. They've got good DVR, live on demand, and the ability to skip some channels. But again, just to talk a little higher level, everything like Netflix and Amazon Prime, they don't really have live news. They don't really have live sports or live weather. Everything in this section, Sling and everything we're going to talk about after, they have that kind of content, the live content that, you need to know the traffic downtown because you're going in 10 minutes. And the live services have that. News and sports and weather that are live. Hulu with live TV is a really good option. They have a lot of channels and they charge a little bit more for it. A lot of these services may have some degree of being able to watch on more than one screen at once. I hope I won't start any spousal fights, but sometimes maybe one person wants to watch one thing and one person wants to watch something else. And certain services have, you might see like a number of simultaneous users. So Hulu has 2, and they have backup cloud DVR, and it can be bundled for a decrease in cost, which is really nice. But they've got really good coverage of sports and local channels, which is really nice. And it's month to month. Another option is YouTube TV. It's a bit of a confusing name because there's YouTube that's completely free and it's just random people upload whatever. But then YouTube TV is this paid service with official channels like ESPN and CNN and Fox News and kind of all of that traditional content. They've had their price increase over the years, and you see they allow you to do 3 devices simultaneously, which is really nice. They've got really good coverage of sports, which is fantastic. So if you're a sports person and you want to watch it live, YouTube TV, along with Hulu, live TV are both really good bets for you. DirecTV Stream is another option. If you're already with AT&T, it might make sense. They have a lot of channels, and it can get expensive. But you can pick between the levels of channels that they provide. Now, one question I commonly get about all of these live services, they're saying they have 75 channels, they have 100 plus channels, they have 150 channels. When you're subscribing to them, you can look up on their websites. They will list for you what all the channels are, but they don't guarantee that a particular channel will always stay. They have to negotiate contracts with each channel, and it can be dropped at some point. So you're kind of signing up for, like, if they have a basic tier and then an intermediate, you're just signing up for kind of whatever they have in that level of their service. So there are a whole bunch more that we don't have time for as well. Fubo TV is one of these that is specifically designed for sports fans. So if you're a sports fan, again, you need that Chicago sports network for Bulls games. Fubo has it. Philo TV is the exact opposite. They purposefully try not to have sports on their service, and you see that they can provide a dramatically different price point as a result. Acorn TV is best for people who like British TV. There are a whole bunch of different services like this if you take a look around. There are many custom kind of niche services. Before the class today, somebody was talking to me about Turner Classic Movies. I believe there is a service that is just Turner Classic Movies, if that is what you want. So explore options, and you might be able to find something that fits a very specific need that you have. There are also some kind of live TV-ish services that have more advertisements in them, but then are able to be free. Tubi TV, Tubi TV is another one, and Pluto TV. They work just about everywhere. They've got a lot of channels, and they might even have things like a music channel, or like maybe like a fish tank channel or a fireplace channel. These are less kind of just the ABC, CNN. They kind of have more variety in their channels, which is really nice. Tubi and Pluto TV. Now, again, I kind of tailored this presentation specific for Winnetka, but a lot of the area libraries also provide one of two or maybe both of a couple streaming services. So Winnetka Northfield has Hoopla, which has streaming TV and movies as well. So you can sign up with your library card. It's really great, and it's completely free. It's another good way to kind of try streaming. And they just kind of have a variety of content. And here's what it looks like a little bit to get started there. And then you have kind of a standard homepage where they have different sections, and then you can kind of click through to something to pick it and start watching. And then the other streaming service that a lot of public libraries provide for free is called Canopy. Canopy also has kind of general content and movies and TV shows and even like animated content for kids. They market their collection as being a little bit more focused. They tend to kind of have a lot of like older classic movies and like film festival favorites as well. And they have a kids section, which Hoopla also has. You see there's a big kids logo here, which is really nice. And you can sign up for free with your library card. So now we've talked about services. We've talked about the devices that get those services to your TV. The vast majority of the time, say you pick a Roku and then you pick Amazon Prime Video, the vast majority of the time, most services work with every device. You do still want to check to make sure that your service is compatible with the device you have. Somewhere on the service website, they will list what they support. So you can check that and make sure before you purchase a certain device. The vast majority of the time, though, you're good, but it's still a good idea to check. And then kind of high level, how do we figure out how much it actually costs? And kind of the top point is that you are going to have to consider the kind of investment costs, the fixed kind of startup costs, versus the monthly or annual costs. We've talked about having to purchase maybe an over-the-air antenna and something like a Roku. Those are fixed one-time costs. But then Netflix or Hulu with live TV, those are those monthly costs. You also have to fix into your costs the cost of your internet as well. You're going to have to keep your Wi-Fi internet from the same provider that provides you the cable TV service that you probably want to cancel. Some of these services might have free trial periods where you can try, which is really nice, and then you can cancel and decide not to subscribe. So you might be able to take advantage of things like that and potentially get a service for a little while for free as well. And, going back to this for a second, every service we've talked about today figures into that cost. If it says it's $19.99, that includes all fees, and it includes all taxes. Comcast and AT&T don't include the fees and taxes. They'll have an infrastructure fee and a local sports fee and a this fee and a that fee and the other fee. And And there also aren't hardware rentals with any of these. We talked about having to rent your modem or it might be a modem router combo. These services build in all of that. The price is the price. Now, sometimes the prices do increase. It happens to everything. But if you keep a little eye on the news, it's a big deal when Netflix even increases their price by a single dollar. So you'll be able to kind of stay aware about that if you just read a little bit of technology news related to the service that you're interested in. So we are a little past 11 a.m., but I can take questions right now. Thank you very much. And I'm not sure how we're going to handle the question.
Again, we want to give you a big hand for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
And I want to advise the group that we've had 49 on Zoom with lots of questions, but we're going to take them from the audience first. A couple generic things, Brian. You've approved taping of this program.
That's correct.
So within, I want to say, a couple weeks, this will be available at our North Shore Senior Center website. So a lot of the things that are here, you're going to be able to go back on. Another generic type of question, maybe it was just mine. Before you do any of this, you need to have basic internet service. I have Comcast, lots of people have AT&T. Are those the only two? And so that we have to have one or the other? Is there any thoughts knowing that there's a lot of complaints about both of them?
Yes. So
service.
So the question is kind of a two-parter. Do you have to have internet first before you start? Unless you only want to use an over-the-air antenna, the answer to that question is yes. The second part of that question is, I don't like Comcast. Are there any other options? I don't like AT&T. Are there any other options? It depends on where you live. They literally have to run various wires to maybe it's a power pole behind your house or something. So it will vary dramatically. In my particular area, I live in Park Ridge. There was a third provider called Astound, and we decided to switch from AT&T. Now, I'm probably very soon going to be going to Astound and say, hey, your price has increased. I am not happy. Unlike going to Walmart and buying something, the price of internet is negotiable. You can call up and haggle. You can say, hey, I want to talk logistics of canceling my service. I'm moving to somebody else. That's a little ploy on your part. And then hopefully they'll haggle with you, basically. So feel free to negotiate the price of internet. There are lots of, you'll get routed to somebody who's trying to be like a customer retention agent or something, and then hopefully you'll get a better price. But again, the higher level question, there sometimes are other providers than Comcast and AT&T. Astound is in the area. There might be several other kind of medium or smaller ones like that. Unfortunately, satellite internet, like DirecTV, their business has kind of been plummeting, so might not be the best option, but they could be out there. There is also SpaceX Starlink internet, which is another option as well.
Last generic question, Brian. Are you available, or should we be contacting, like, for example, I live in Northbrook. Should I be calling Northbrook for maybe specific questions to someone like yourself? How would that work?
Yes, so the question is, how can I get more help? And I could certainly, I might have to charge a little bit, but I could certainly do some kind of moonlighting work. The public libraries will answer kind of a basic or intermediate technology question, usually. They might have like a Tech Tuesday program or something like that you might be able to go to. But I stressed this a couple times in the presentation. A lot of the public libraries in the area will check out a Roku. And like there's zero risk. You check it out, you can try it. One of the things that my public library does when we have a Roku returned to us, we always check it and make sure that it's working. So if something broke, the library will fix it after. So there's very little risk there, and you can try it and see how it works if it works for you.
Arnie, let's take audience questions.
Now, of the services you named, do any of them reliably cover MSNBC and CNN and the internet?
So there's two parts to that question. So her question was, are there any services that have both MSNBC and, I'm sorry, you said CNN? And then she also mentioned the internet. But the internet is like first. You have to have the internet. And then after that, you can build on top of that with a service that provides both of those. And I think something like a Hulu Live TV would probably have both of those. But again, as you're evaluating the live TV streaming services, let me see if I can get out of this and I can show you real fast. So here we go. And I'll just try to be real fast at this. Hopefully it will work. I know we have an internet connection. And I'll just use this as a guest. And if we go to Hulu Live TV, and I think I might have accidentally, I need to share the whole screen with folks. Let's see here, screen, perfect, share, there we go. All right, so the folks on Zoom should be able to see this now. So if you're evaluating a live TV streaming service to potentially purchase it, so if I go here to Hulu's Live TV website, and that's not really the right website, so I'll try this again. Here we go. I think this should be right. Here we are. So you see they're advertising their big list of channels, and they're saying view channels in your area. So as you're evaluating one of these, you're expecting something like that. They might not call it the exact same thing, but this is a global service. So they need to know to potentially provide you local channels, where do you live? So if I go here to view channels in my area, and I'll pretend I'm actually me in Park Ridge, my zip code, and this is going to be basically the same for all of us because we're in the Chicago area. But then we see the local channels and the sports channels that they provide in our area. And this coverage is pretty good. So to answer your question again, if you're wanting a specific channel on one of these live services, what you'll need to do is come to their website and basically take a look at their listing of all of the channels. And I see CNN here, and I'm looking for, yeah, MSNBC. I'm not sure, we don't exactly have time. I'm gonna try to answer other people's questions, but thank you very much.
Okay, Brian, you mentioned,
Oh, sorry, there you are.
you mentioned smart TVs. Did you imply that you don't need Roku or anything else if you have a smart TV?
Yes, so her question is, can you use a smart TV without anything else? And the answer to that is yes. So I'm going to pretend I'm shopping here and smart TV. So here's a good example smart TV. You see it's only 140 bucks. Again, that cost is because they're spying on you. But when we look at more pictures here, or actually let me go back. And so it has Wi-Fi. So you don't even have to connect a wire. You would just have to tell it your network name and the password, if there is one, and then you're good.
Zoom question on spying. Can you briefly explain what you mean by that?
Yes, absolutely. So the question is, I'm ragging on smart TVs. They spy on you. How exactly do they spy on you? So there is technology that allows them to kind of, as you're watching, they watch as well. And if you're watching, I don't know, a History Channel show, they might realize that you like history, and then they might populate an advertisement related to history. They also might be able to guess your age based on if you're watching a show aged at or kind of oriented at kids, or if you're watching something else. They can then use that for advertising.
Brian, there seems to be an element of detective work here. For example, I like sports, I like the Bears, but I also like the Packers. How do I figure out where all these things are? Is there something like a TV guide, like, how does one go about this?
Yes, so great question. And just to, again, give the question in some different words, summarize it. There's a lot going on here. And, how do I figure it all out? How do I kind of figure out different details? There is not one guide, unfortunately. There are so many different of these services. Really, nobody has put that together. But I will show you one thing that I use. I'm just a local technologist, and there are other people who, I have a day job basically, but there are other people who study this like as a job. And I'm trying to find the guy. Here we go. So I subscribe to this newsletter, Jared Newman's Cord Cutters Weekly, where he puts out a weekly newsletter specifically about this. And his latest his latest newsletter was about football streaming services. He covers the news. This is his job, basically. He's made this his job. He also writes like random tech news articles too. He's got a complete guide to cord cutting, free streaming services, all sorts of deals. I read his email every week. It's really good. He does get kind of technical sometimes, but to a certain degree, you can kind of ignore that. He talks high level as well and gives lots of really great specific advice. So cordcutterweekly.com, I highly recommend. He also, every once in a while, will put together kind of a big list that almost is a guide. It'll basically say which channel you can get on which thing.
I'm going to take some Zoom with.
I have a question on the streaming services you talked about through the library. I assume you need to be a library member if you have a library card. Now, the library group, there's a group of libraries where I know I can take out a book from a different library. Does that sort of thing apply to the streaming services too?
Yes. So gentleman's question, which is a very good question. There are a couple different library groups in the area that have multiple libraries, basically Chicago Public, and there's another one called CCS. And do they allow sharing of streaming services like they do sharing books? And the answer to that, unfortunately, is no.
Where's the other mic? Could you raise your hand? Okay, hang on to that. I'm going to take some Zoom questions. Arnie had to go help with the pizza. I use it. This is from Terry. I use the cable. Oh wait, this has been answered. Question was, I record 4 programs at a time. Is there any service that provides that?
So yes, the question is there anything that allows recording 4 channels at a time? That's getting very detailed, but some of the live TV streaming services like a YouTube TV or a Hulu live TV might have something like that. Yes. The other option for that, which gets even dramatically more complicated, let me just look it up for a second. There are hardware devices that allow you to do things like that, where you're kind of providing your own recording TV service in your house. This is one of them, Silicon Dust's HD Home Run. There's a lot of setup here, but it is an option for that.
Terry is asking, do you have any suggestion of what's the best HD antenna? Any?
Yes. So the question is, do I have any suggestions for the best HD antenna? So let's talk just a little bit more about the over-the-air antennas. So there are a lot of these, and unfortunately, like they change really quickly as you're buying them. So I don't really have a recommendation for a specific good over-the-air antenna, but I have recommendations for kind of how you can shop for them. So here's one, for example, and I'm basically going to talk to you like there's a whole bunch of lies here. So, and this is very common among all of the listings for over-the-air antennas. There's a lot of competition, and they're trying to entice people to buy them. So they're listing specific channels. I mentioned before, you have to plug this device in, and then you have to do a channel scan on your TV. They can't guarantee those channels. They have no idea. This provider of this device has no idea if you will be able to have those channels on your device. They're also quoting 4K quality. Over-the-air TV is not that high of quality. It's pretty good quality, but it's not 4K. The other thing here, and this is a pretty funny example, they're saying the range is 900 miles. I usually tell people to divide those ranges by 2. In this case, I might recommend dividing it by 4. That just seems like a pretty an exaggeration to me. But we thankfully are pretty close to where a lot of the antenna signals are coming from, which is downtown Chicago, the skyscrapers. So we kind of need to just get our antennas. The general advice is as high as possible and point them toward Chicago, southeast. And then you usually should get pretty good reception.
Okay, we have another question from the audience. Go ahead, please, ma'am. You. With the microphone, go ahead.
Oh, hello. My question is, if I want to try out a service, but I'm hooked to cable, do I need to unhook the cable to view the free service?
Yes, that's a great question. Her question is, she's got cable and she's considering things she wants to try first and then maybe cut the cable. You can absolutely do that. You can try any of these things before cutting the cable. The only basic requirement is an internet connection, which you probably have.
But I don't have to unhook my cable.
You do not have to.
That
That's
was
correct.
That was
Yes.
really the
Yeah.
meat of the question.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to pick your brains for a personal thing, but some others may have this same question. I need a new iPhone. I'm going to buy an iPhone. What process should I use? Am I better off not trying to deal with my provider, which is Comcast, or try to go through them and negotiate? Or am I better going to Apple and just buying it direct, because then I won't get trapped by contrast, et cetera? Any thoughts on hints for any of us buying a new phone?
Yes. So this is a little off topic, but sort of related in terms of like negotiating and planning.
That's what I thought.
For tech. So his question is, how do I buy a new iPhone? And there are kind of 2 ways of going about it. There's my dad's way, where he just goes to the provider and buys it, and maybe there's a rental fee, something. That usually winds up being more expensive. Again, it's kind of an ongoing smaller fee, whether it's $12 or $15 per month, versus like a kind of bigger upfront fee. If you can afford it, I always recommend buy the device outright. You don't have to worry if you have to switch services. You're good to go. It's the maximum flexibility possible. The cost is that it's just a higher upfront fee that you're paying at one time.
I have a question. Many homes have many, many TVs, bedroom, kitchen, dining room, rec room. Do each of these TVs need the device? You know, need a Roku or whatever, or Apple TV or whatever? And also, does that, if you have a smart TV, do you not need those at all?
Yes. So his question, there are multiple TVs in the house. How do I do this with multiple TVs? There are complicated ways where you might be able to avoid it, but the easy way is to just have one of these devices per TV. They're pretty cheap. A Roku you can get for $20, and then it connects to your Wi-Fi and you're good to go. The same thing applies for over-the-air antennas. If you want over-the-air TV on multiple devices, the easy way to do it is just to have one of these antennas per device. You wire it in, you do the channel scan, you're good to go.
Another question? Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. Our AT&T suppliers is suggesting I go streaming to reduce this bill. They want everybody off cable, evidently. They tell me I have to have a Fire Stick, some kind of stick to put into the TV when I disconnect the cable box. Can all TVs accept the Fire? I have some old TVs. I got a couple of smart ones, but the rest of them are dumb TVs. And so is there an outlet in the back of the dumb TVs with this Fire Stick? I don't know what the heck that looks like.
Yes, so sorry, I was just looking up a couple resources to be prepared to kind of show examples to answer this question. Her question is, her provider is telling her that she has to move to a Fire Stick, and she has some TVs. She's not exactly sure everything about them. Can she use a Fire Stick on maybe an older TV? So here's a Fire Stick. Let me just look at it in a little more detail. Let's get really into this picture. So we didn't cover it in the presentation today, but if you're getting a new smart TV and a new one of these devices that gets the streaming services to that smart TV, the connections right now are going to be this plug. Looks like this. It's kind of this small silvery thing that kind of is slightly a trapezoid. It's called HDMI. And a new smart TV and a new streaming device is going to have that. You're going to have no problems. But older TVs have some different connections for the video and audio. And it might be something like this, where there are multiple different wires that are usually yellow, white, and red. This goes by a lot of different names. You might see it called component or RCA, but there are adapters if you do have to have it, where you can plug in an HDMI and then it generates the proper, basically, plug for your TV, and then you can wire that in to your TV. The vast majority of TVs will, even older TVs, will have these plugs. Sometimes they will actually have more than 3, and you might have to experiment and guess which one it goes into.
Brian, over here. We need to wrap it up. Thank you so much. Everybody enjoy the pizza.
Thank you very much, everyone.